I'm State Representative Russ Hunter. I represent the 48th Legislative District, which is parts of Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, a teeny little bit of Issaquah, and all of the Points communities. I talked to Dr. Deborah Sullivan, who's a university professor here in Washington, and she lost her son this summer to gun violence, actually. And I've been working with a group to try and introduce a bill to eliminate the availability of military-style assault weapons without stepping on people's constitutional rights to own semi-automatic weapons. And as we expected, the NRA has amped this up and made people believe that we were going to eliminate all semi-automatic weapons and take people back to the 17th century where they'd have to load it with muzzle loaders or something. And that's not the case. I now believe I will not pass that bill this year, so I'm not going to introduce the bill. I do think we need to have a conversation, and I hope that you're willing to listen to Dr. Sullivan's conversation about her son, about youth violence, and about the easy availability of weapons that are very, very dangerous that I think we need to talk about. And I don't know what the answer is. I want to sort of have a conversation about why you think this is a good thing to do and how it impacts you, and it has a very strong impact.
My son had been 18 for just a few months, and I'm not sure when Tristan's birthday is, so I don't know how long he'd been 19. And so in the heat of a moment, Tristan decided to solve a problem that he had with someone else by getting an assault weapon that was accessible and handy and loaded and ready to go.
Yeah.
One of many, I've heard. And so in that moment, in his attempt to solve a problem with another teenager, another 18-year-old, he killed my son. And had he not had easy access, if he had to fight,
right,
even with an impulse, there's still time. You have to fight a long time to do a lot of damage. And during that time, you can do a lot of thinking.
Right. So what we're trying to do is pass a bill that reinstates the federal ban on assault weapons,
right,
which are guns that are designed for a military purpose.
Right.
And they're not machine guns. They're a relatively small part of what are called semi-automatic weapons. You have to pull the trigger for each time. These guns are designed in ways that you can pull the trigger very rapidly and spray many bullets and aim them. The trick in doing the legislation will be coming up with a way that distinguishes between guns that are clearly military weapons.
Right.
And we've already established that we can deny people the right to own military weapons. People don't own bazookas privately. We're not allowed to own machine guns. That was something that we stopped in the 30s with the whole Al Capone era.
Right.
And we're starting to see more and more of these assault weapons now that the federal ban has expired. Trying to say where is the line between military weapons and non-military weapons, and how can we do that will be the trick.
Right.
And if we can't convince people that we have excluded normal sporting weapons from the ban, it won't pass.
Right.
I think it's worth the effort to try and do that. And I think it's something that we ought to be able to have a calm and reasoned conversation about. It's something that would be very difficult to do this year. In any year, it's actually very difficult to do.
Sometimes you have to take into consideration that you don't know who has what kinds of weapons. And you may think you're just having an argument with someone, and in the other person's mind, it's way beyond that. And so even in the case of your son, he could just be innocently hanging out with someone who happens to know someone else who nobody knew had all those weapons.
Right. We have a strong constitutional protection for the individual right to own firearms, and I don't think anyone is trying seriously to do that. I think we're trying to have a conversation about where is the line between the military weapons and non-military weapons that we own or don't allow people to own. Will we will face opposition who says that you can't distinguish these; they're identical to a deer hunting rifle, and I think that's just not true. It'll depend on our ability to convince people that we have come up with a set of rules that really do distinguish, and that we'll probably have to err on the side of caution. But I think anything that we can do to make the world safer for Aaron, for my son, for all those young men in the world,
For their sons.
is important to do.